I think we just need something fresh, and we need some really badass writers. I do not want any nepotism writers on some bullshit like they do with current Star Wars. I want badass writers who love Star Wars, who love the lore, who knew about all that expanded universe shit. I want them to just bring in just crazy shit. Just crazy. I don't want a typical Star Wars story. I kind of want like a story of like thousands of years in the future, and it's just like it's just an adventure movie. Like I just want them just traveling. It kind of reminds me of like Lord of the Rings, like where they're just constantly getting to that mountain to dispose of the ring. I want a Star Wars trilogy where it's just like they're traveling, they're going to all these different alien worlds. Of course, there's going to be lightsaber battles and Jedi and all that stuff, but like I feel like that's way better than anything they've done, at least in that last trilogy. It wasn't enough adventure for me.
It looked like it was trying to set up adventure. You're totally right, though. I think that whoever's in charge of signing off, I guess Kathleen Kennedy, whoever's in charge of signing off on the stories that are being made, they're only down to create new stories, new inventive stories when it's the shows. When it comes to the feature length films, they're like, fuck that. No, cookie cutter. We're Disney. You know what I mean?
They don't want to go out of a certain mold.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. When it's the TV shows, they're like, oh yeah, we're Star Wars. We're about expanded universes and, new races of species and new planets, new stories. But when it's the feature length films, they're like, what, you want me to talk about anything other than Skywalker? Huh?
Exactly. Like they need to take some inspiration from like, if we had a Star Wars movie that was like old Republic Jedi mixed with Rogue One, mixed with Star Trek Adventure, that would be incredible. I'm telling you right now. If we just take those three things and make a Star Wars trilogy, especially on the adventure, on the Star Trek kind of tip, I feel like people would love that. Like imagine it was like, there was just like, you know what, we have the known galaxy we're going. We have the known galaxy, a galaxy far, far away. What if we want to go to another galaxy? We want to see what's out there.
Ooh.
And like they get out there and it's like everybody knows the Force. It's like a whole paradigm shift. Like it's like in One Piece when they went to the New World, which I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. But they went to the New World in One Piece and everybody knew hockey. Hockey is like this power system that's like a little separate than what was known in OG One Piece. But they could do something with Star Wars where they go outside of the galaxy. Everybody knows the Force. Like, what do you mean? Like the animals know how to use the Force.
Right.
What do you mean? Like I feel like that would be cool. Like I feel like they could really expand. Like on
you know
something
what I think
like
it
that.
is?
And it's.
You had one last point that you want to make?
Oh no, you got it. That was it.
Yeah, I think what it is that because Disney is such a huge brand, I think that they have to think about it in so many different layers of monetization that they don't have that option. I think that they limit themselves because they believe that they have to monetize because it's such an expensive project for them to make new Star Wars material. I think that they really think genuinely that they have to monetize every single thing. So they number one, they make the majority of their money off of merchandising for Star Wars. Wouldn't you assume?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's pretty factual that they make most of their money from monetizing the merchandise.
Dude, Star Wars, they're in everything merchandise related you can imagine. Everything.
So even with that, number one, like you're always gonna have to introduce a new droid. You're always gonna have some gimmicky Baby Yoda type thing. You know what I mean? You always have to have these characters that people already have a legacy, like these characters that already have a legacy, like Luke Skywalker. It's going to be interesting to see if they can make Star Wars stories without connecting it to a Skywalker story. Feature-length films, I mean, because they've said that they're done with Skywalkers.
Bro,
but I don't think that can be
done. There's so much potential outside of Skywalkers. Like, don't get me wrong. I think a Star Wars movie, we need Jedi. You cannot make a mainline Star Wars movie without Jedi.
I think that's cap.
I would die on that hill.
That's cap.
I'm talking mainline. I'm talking like, all right, this is what is it? This is Star Wars 7. All right, we need Jedi. They got to be the main focus. But it can literally be after that. Anything. It can be anything you can imagine. It can be anything you can imagine.
I think that they put so much pressure on themselves to make sure that they get a certain number of dollars for every dollar that they spend. That really, really limits them from saying, okay, this time around, we're going to take a step into the future and we're going to completely revamp the way we've been doing Star Wars stories. Instead, we're going to focus on something that no one even knows anything about. Even Rogue One had a high level of success, but they connected it to Darth Vader. So when you think of Rogue One, you think of what? The final scene
with Darth Vader was
with Darth
people.
Vader. Exactly. I think that that's the core of it. That's the reason why they can't. I almost think that they can't. It sucks to say because they can. They have the capital to do it, but in a way that they can't do that because that's too much risk on their part. I guess in a way to be like, all right, here's a fresh Star Wars story, but they're not. They don't have their ear to the ground, talking to people like us, the grassroots fans who are just like, oh yeah, I like Star Wars because it's fucking high fantasy. I don't think they see it that way. High fantasy is all about creating new shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
What the fuck have we not
like,
seen before? Like, I want this to be
Exactly.
as far away removed from Earth as possible.
It
And
would
they're
be
like,
cool
no.
if it was like in a new galaxy, man. Like it was like, it's like we're in a whole different galaxy. Like everything you think you know about Star Wars is pretty much gone. Like I said before, aside from the Force, where it's like, it's a world where like everybody, every being, every creature, and these are non-human creatures, knows the Force, and maybe some young Jedi from the future who is like a descendant of like, it could be even a tie-in. It could be even, he could be a Skywalker, but it's not. It's a side tidbit or a Palpatine. What's her name?
Yeah.
Rey, like could be like one of Rey's like long descendants, and somehow
Yeah.
he or she ended up outside of the galaxy, and it's like looking around, and it's like everybody knows the Force, and it's like they're using
dude.
like light side, dark side, like you know what I mean? It's like a whole different thing.
Don't you think that they tried in the last trilogy, 7 through 9? They tried that. That's why they never said anything about who Rey's parents were. They never said it. They made sure Finn wasn't even connected to the Jedi Council. They made sure all of the main characters, they killed off Han Solo. Like, they made sure that all that stuff from the past, all of that previous canon, we're setting ourselves apart from that. They always made sure that they pushed it apart. They killed off people for that main reason, and they didn't include people for that main reason. I think they got scared because at the end of the day, they know whatever their numbers are, that they have to make sure, because, you know, this is Disney, bro. I think that a lot of times, because we're such purists about the art, we think that it should always just be about the art. We don't really, we remove ourselves from the fact that these
From
are
the
businesses.
numbers,
Yeah. And
Like
they have
24.
they're only
think-
putting out this content, like, as we're content creators, we're putting out content in order to grow. They're putting out content in order to grow as well. But it's such a large scale that it's like, we have to make sure we hit on this number. We have to make sure we sell merchandising. We got to make sure we're selling a number of tickets. We got to make sure we're able to chop this down so that we can have behind the scenes stuff that we can put on our streaming platforms. When are we putting this on our streaming platform? You know, like, are we setting up contracts to where we don't have to pay actors in the future? Like, it's so many different layers that they have to get to. I think they remove themselves from the artwork. They don't really care about that at the end of the day.